I met her soulmate at 3 a.m. So I erased myself by sunrise. I didn't find out my relationship was already over because she sat me down. I found out because my phone buzzed at 3:07 a.m. and lit up my bedroom like a spotlight. One vibration, one message, one photo. And just like that, the last 3 years of my life turned into a punchline. Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button if you want more stories like this. I used to think I was her boyfriend. Looking back, I was her life support system with a pulse. My name is Ethan. I'm 30. I work operations for a distribution company, which is a fancy way of saying I keep disasters from happening for a living. I solve problems people don't even notice until they explode. I'm the guy who stays late, who answers calls after hours, who shows up early when everyone else is still sleeping. And for a long time, I thought that same mindset made me a good partner. Dependable, responsible, steady. But to my girlfriend, Vanessa, steady wasn't romantic. It was boring. Vanessa was 27 and lived like consequences were a rumor. She did content partnerships for a startup that never seemed to have real work, which meant she spent most of her day taking mirror selfies, editing short clips, and calling it a brand strategy meeting. She didn't love stability. She loved what stability paid for. The apartment we lived in sat right above the city's busiest coffee street. Brick building, big windows, overpriced rent. Vanessa called it our aesthetic era. I called it my monthly reminder that I was funding a lifestyle she treated like her birthright. I paid the rent. I paid the car insurance. I handled the electric bill, the Wi-Fi, the subscriptions, the groceries, the random fees that popped up because Vanessa had a talent for accidentally forgetting her wallet. She would laugh and say, "You're so good at adulting." It sounded cute until you realize what that really meant. It meant she wasn't going to do it. The worst part is, I didn't even mind at first. I grew up in a house where love was shown through effort, not speeches. My dad fixed things, carried things, handled things. I thought that was what being a man looked like. So I handled things, and Vanessa looked through me like I was part of the furniture. It didn't break all at once. It cracked slowly, little fractures that I kept taping over because I thought commitment meant enduring discomfort. Like the time she asked me to split her credit card payment just this month because her paycheck was late and then bought concert tickets the next day. Or the time we went to dinner with her friends and she introduced me as, "This is Ethan. He works a lot. Not boyfriend, not partner. Works a lot." Or how she'd ask me to drive her to parties, then request I drop her off a block away so nobody saw her getting out of my car. That one should have ended it right there. But the final crack started 2 nights before everything ended. It was Wednesday. I walked in at 8:40 p.m., shoulders stiff, head pounding, the kind of tired that settles in your bones. The warehouse had been chaos all day. A truck got delayed, a client threatened to cancel, and I spent hours on the phone smoothing out problems that weren't my fault. All I wanted was quiet. Vanessa was sitting on the kitchen counter in one of my t-shirts, legs swinging like she was bored in a waiting room. There was a glass of rosé beside her and her phone in her hand. She didn't look up when I walked in. "Hey," I said, dropping my keys into the bowl. "How was your day?" She shrugged without lifting her eyes. "Fine." I opened the fridge and stared like something was going to magically appear. Empty takeout containers sat on the coffee table. "Did you eat?" I asked. She nodded. "I got ramen. There was none left." It wasn't said like an apology. It was just information. Like I was the last person she thought about, because I was. I grabbed bread and mustard. The mustard was nearly empty. The bread was slightly stale. I didn't even care. I was hungry and tired and the kind of emotionally numb that makes you accept scraps. As I leaned over the counter making a pathetic sandwich, Vanessa finally looked at me. Not with love, with annoyance. "Is this it?" she asked. I paused. "Knife in my hand? What do you mean?" She waved her fingers in a lazy circle. "This, you, that sandwich, this apartment, same routine, same life?" I stared at her. "I'm exhausted, Vanessa. I've been working since 6. "That's the problem," she said. "You're always working. You're always tired. You're like a dad." I felt something cold slide down my spine. "I'm 30. "Exactly," she snapped. "And you act 45. You're safe. You're predictable. You don't have any fire in you anymore." I set the knife down slowly. Fire? Yes, fire, like passion. Like you actually want to live. Sometimes it feels like being with you is like sitting in a beige office under fluorescent lights. For a second, I genuinely didn't know what to say. I stood there holding a sandwich like it was evidence in a trial, and she looked at me like I was the accused. "I work so we can afford things," I said. "The Cabo trip you wanted, the rent you refused to think about, your car payment." "It's not about money, Ethan," she said like she was explaining something to a child. "You always make it about money." "Because it is about money," I said. "It's literally all about money." Her eyes narrowed. "You see, that tone, that attitude. You're so gray." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You're calling me gray while I'm the only reason your life has color." Her mouth fell open for a second, then her face twisted into anger. "Don't you talk to me like that," she said. "I need a man who makes me feel alive, not a man who makes me feel like I'm trapped in a schedule." And with that, she slid off the counter and stormed into the bedroom, slamming the door so hard the wall frame rattled. I stood there, sandwich in my hand, listening to the fridge hum like it was the only thing brave enough to speak in that apartment. I ate over the sink, and for the first time in 3 years, I didn't follow her to apologize for existing. 2 days later, it was Friday. The week had chewed me up. A shipment got held at the border, and half my day was spent arguing with people who thought yelling louder fixed logistics. By the time I got home, my shirt clung to my back, my head felt heavy, and my mood was somewhere between exhausted and empty. The apartment smelled like hairspray and perfume. Music was thumping through the walls. Vanessa was in front of the mirror in the hallway, dressed like she was about to walk onto a stage. Short silver dress, heels, hair perfectly curled, makeup flawless. She looked electric. And the saddest part was that I knew that energy wasn't for me. "Girls' night," she announced without turning around. "Don't wait up." I loosened my tie. "Okay." She glanced at me in the mirror, eyes cold. "Try to have a personality while I'm gone." Then she laughed, not like a joke, but like she'd already decided I didn't matter. I watched her walk out. No goodbye, no kiss, just the click of heels down the hallway until the elevator swallowed her. I locked the door, stripped down, and collapsed into bed at 9:20 p.m. I fell asleep almost instantly, the kind of sleep you get when your body is more tired than your pride. And that was the last time I ever slept in that apartment as her boyfriend. The buzzing woke me up like an alarm. My phone was vibrating against the nightstand, angry and constant for one moment, then silent. I opened one eye. The clock read 3:07 a.m. My first thought was work. Something on fire. Someone calling because the world was collapsing. I reached for the phone, squinting at the glow. Vanessa. No words at first, just a photo. My brain took a second to catch up. It was a nightclub shot, blurry and bright, strobe lights cutting through the darkness. Vanessa was in the center, her mouth pressed against some guy's like it was a performance for the camera. One hand on his jaw, his hand around her waist. The guy had messy hair and a chain necklace and that smug look men get when they think they're winning something. Then the second message popped up. I met my real soulmate. Goodbye, loser. I stared at it. Then another came, more photos, her laughing, her tongue out, her face against his cheek like she'd known him forever. Then one more message. You were never exciting. I deserve a man with fire. Don't wait up. I read it again and again, waiting for my body to react, waiting for the anger, the heartbreak, the panic, but none of it came. What I felt instead was relief so heavy it almost made me laugh. She had finally done something unforgivable enough that I didn't have to second-guess myself. She handed me an exit with no guilt attached. I didn't reply. I didn't call. I didn't send a paragraph begging for explanation. I turned my phone on silent, placed it face down, and rolled over. Then I went back to sleep. Not because I didn't care. Because I finally did. I slept like a man who didn't have to carry someone else's chaos anymore. At 7:45 a.m., I woke up and the apartment was silent. Vanessa still wasn't home. I got up, made coffee, and drank it standing at the window. The city looked the same. Cars, lights, people rushing somewhere, but my life felt different, like someone had cut the cord connecting me to a constant drain. Then I started working. Not my job, my escape. I pulled 2 suitcases out of the closet. I packed only what mattered. Clothes, work laptop, passport, documents. A few things that were mine, not ours. I didn't pack the furniture. I didn't pack the expensive dishes Vanessa wanted because they looked good on Instagram. I didn't pack the framed photo of us smiling in Cabo like it meant anything. I packed freedom. Then I opened my laptop. We had a joint account, mostly because Vanessa liked the idea of us being a team, and because it made it easier for her to swipe a card without thinking. 90% of that money came from me. I transferred every dollar I had contributed into my personal account. Then I opened the credit card portal. There were charges pending from last night. Neon Orchid Lounge, $380. VIP wristband upgrade, $210. Late night bar tab, $140. Rideshare premium, $67. She had paid for her betrayal with my stability. I canceled the card in 2 clicks. Then I called the leasing office. Hi, this is Ethan Walker. I need to invoke the early termination clause on Unit 14C. The woman on the phone sounded cautious. That's a significant fee, sir. I know, I said. I'm paying it today. Remove my name from the lease effective immediately. She hesitated. Is your partner aware? She will be, I said calmly. I paid the fee right then. Painful amount. Enough to make my stomach tighten. But you know what was worse? Paying it monthly while being disrespected. When I was done, I walked through the apartment one last time. It looked exactly the same, but it didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a museum exhibit of the person I used to be. I placed my spare key on the kitchen counter. Then I grabbed a sticky note and a pen. I wrote, "Congratulations." That was it. No rant, no explanation, no emotion. Just the word she earned. I walked out, locked the door behind me, and didn't look back. I checked into a hotel downtown and ordered breakfast like I was celebrating, because I was. At noon, my phone started blowing up. Vanessa. Call after call. I watched it ring while I cut into eggs and toast. Then the text started. Ethan, answer me. Where are you? Why isn't my card working? This isn't funny. I let it all sit. Then she called again. I answered. Hello, I said calmly. Her voice hit my ear like a siren. Ethan! Oh my God. Where are you? I'm eating breakfast, I said. What? No, what are you talking about? My card got declined. I'm outside. I can't get an Uber. I'm in heels. I don't know where I am. I could hear traffic behind her. Wind. Her voice shaking with panic. Okay, I said. Okay, that's all you have? I need you to send me money. Something is wrong with the bank account. I took a sip of coffee. Where's your soulmate? Silence. A heavy pause. Then the crying got uglier. He left, she whispered. I blinked slowly. Left where? He left me, Ethan. We went to his hotel and I woke up and he was gone. He blocked me. He left me with the bill. I stared at the wall in front of me, trying not to laugh out loud. So the soulmate ran off before sunrise, I said. Stop, she choked. Please, I was drunk. It was stupid. I didn't mean it. I love you. I let that word hang in the air. Love. It sounded like she'd pulled it out of a drawer with the receipts and coupons. Vanessa, I said, you don't love me. You love that I pay for your life. That's not true, she cried. Please, just come get me. We can talk. I'm not punishing you, I said. I'm listening to you. You said goodbye. You said I was a loser. I didn't mean it. I did, I said simply. I moved out. Her breathing stopped for half a second. What do you mean you moved out? I packed this morning, I said. The key is on the counter. The lease is yours now. The joint account is closed. The card is canceled. No, she stammered. You can't do that. You can't just leave me like this. I have no money. Ask your soulmate, I said. Maybe he has a bus pass. Her voice changed. The panic turned into rage. What is wrong with you? You're being a psychopath. You're abandoning me. You broke up with me at 3:07 a.m., I reminded her. In case you forgot. You can't just erase me. I can, I said, because you already erased me from your respect. She started screaming again, but I didn't wait for the next insult. I said one last thing. Wrong number. Then I hung up. And I blocked her. The silence that followed felt better than any apology she'd ever offered me. It didn't stay quiet for long. Vanessa didn't just lose her safety net. She lost her audience. And people like her don't handle that alone. An hour later, I got a call from her friend Madison. Straight to voicemail, then another, then the texts. You're disgusting. She's crying. How could you abandon her like that? You're really going to throw 3 years away over one mistake? One mistake, like it was a spilled drink. Then came her older sister, Kayla. Ethan, pick up. This is cruel. Vanessa is having a panic attack. You need to be a man and fix this. And finally, the final boss, her mother. A voicemail so sharp it could have cut glass. Ethan Walker, you small, selfish man. My daughter is in danger and you chose to punish her. You will come get her right now or I will show up at your workplace and make sure everyone knows what kind of person you are. That line made my jaw tighten. Not because it hurt, because it exposed the truth. Vanessa wasn't telling them what she did. She was telling them what she wanted them to believe. And she was willing to destroy my reputation to protect hers. I unlocked my phone. I didn't argue. I didn't type a paragraph explaining boundaries and respect. I opened our shared group chat, the one with mutual friends and her cousins and the same people who liked our photos and called us couple goals. And I posted the screenshot. Her kissing the stranger, her message. I met my real soulmate. Goodbye, loser. Then I typed one sentence. Since I'm getting a lot of calls, here's why I left. Vanessa broke up with me last night to be with her soulmate. I'm just respecting her decision. Please direct any concerns to him. I sent it. Then I sent the same screenshot to her mother with one line. This is the crisis. The response was immediate. Typing bubbles appeared, disappeared. Then silence. Madison stopped texting. Her sister didn't call again. Her mom didn't leave another voicemail because there was nothing left to spin. 2 weeks later, I got an email from the leasing office. It was addressed to Vanessa, but I was copied as a courtesy. She hadn't paid rent. Since my name was no longer on the lease, they were initiating eviction. The email mentioned the unit had been found in poor condition, which is a polite way of saying Vanessa couldn't function without someone holding her life together. The apartment became a wreck. Trash, stains, broken dishes. Her aesthetic era turned into her reality era. She moved back in with her parents in a neighborhood she used to call depressing. The same house she swore she'd never end up in again. Funny how quickly pride changes when the electricity bill is due. 3 months passed, and I changed more in 90 days than I had in 3 years. I got a new place closer to my office. Not as flashy, not as photo-friendly, but it felt peaceful. It felt like mine. I started going to the gym again, started eating real meals again. My face looked less tired. My eyes didn't have that constant stress haze. And most importantly, my mind was quiet. One Sunday morning, I was at a small coffee shop reading on my phone when someone stopped in front of my table. A shadow blocked the light. I looked up. Vanessa. But it wasn't the Vanessa from that nightclub photo. This Vanessa looked drained. No glam, no glow. Hair pulled into a messy bun, sweatpants, a hoodie, dark circles under her eyes like she'd been losing sleep. She looked like a person who finally learned what silence sounds like. Ethan, she said softly. I didn't stand. I didn't smile. I just stared. Vanessa. She swallowed. I saw your car outside. I wanted to see you. I'm doing great, I said. What do you want? Her eyes watered instantly. I'm sorry, I messed up. I hurt you. You didn't hurt me, I said calmly. You freed me. Her face tightened like that was the cruelest thing I could have said. Please don't say that, she whispered. My life is falling apart. I didn't respond. She leaned forward like she expected me to fill the silence with comfort. I lost the apartment, she said. Everyone stopped talking to me after you posted that screenshot. My job cut my hours. I'm living with my mom. I have nobody. There it was, not remorse, consequences. She wiped at her cheek. I miss us. I miss my best friend. Can we just get coffee, start over? I stared at her for a long second, then I set my cup down. Vanessa, I said, you don't miss me. You miss the life I built around you. That's not true. It is, I said, because if you missed me, you would have respected me while you had me. She started crying harder, loud enough that a few people glanced over. Everyone makes mistakes, she said. Cheating isn't a mistake, I replied. It's choices stacked on top of each other until you cross a line you can't uncross. You chose to go out. You chose to kiss him. You chose to text me goodbye. You chose to call me a loser. And I chose to believe you. She reached out and grabbed my sleeve like I was about to vanish. Ethan, please. He meant nothing. You're the one I want. I looked down at her hand until she slowly pulled it back. You don't want me, I said quietly. You want the rent paid. Her mouth opened, then closed. No argument, no denial, because deep down she knew it was true. I stood up, grabbed my keys, and slid my chair back into place. Vanessa's voice cracked. So that's it? 3 years meant nothing? I paused, just long enough to answer. It meant a lesson. Then I walked out. The bell above the door chimed like it was cheering for me. I didn't check if she watched me leave. I didn't need to, because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't carrying someone else's life on my back. I was carrying my own. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe, hit like, and tell me in the comments what you would have done if you got that 3 a.m. soulmate text.